This is not a keynote. It is a map that I wish I had. So if you're stuck in client chaos mode, listen up because this is how you rise. First up, my name is Jacob Cass. I am a brand builder, and this is Pinky, who is my wingman, and brand is my passion. Comic sans aside, and in truthfulness, this is my passion. Brand is my passion. I'm the founder of Brand Builders Summit and the Brand Builders Alliance, and I love this cross-section of design, business, and strategy, which is why I'm so excited to teach you about this today. The mission is to help you become a star brand builder, and I'm going to share 10 lessons from 20 years of design, detours, and discovery. It's going to be split across 4 chapters, from liftoff to navigation to orbit and stardom. There's going to be 10 revelations shared and 12 practical tips. So buckle up. Like I said, I'm a brand builder. I have run Just Creative, which is a design and brand agency here in Sydney, Australia for 20 plus years. I run Just Branding podcast with my co-host, Matt Davies. I've done that for 6 years now, and I've run the Brand Builders Summit for 2 years and the Brand Builders Alliance for 1 year. The Brand Builders Alliance is a membership community for brand builders, helping them master branding and build a thriving creative business. I'll share a bit more on that a bit later. But that aside, I've been featured in these lovely publications. I have worked with Fortune 100 brands. I've designed the logo for the city of San Francisco, worked with Disney, Coke, Nike, Nintendo, and so much more. These days, I work with smaller businesses and help creatives level up through branding, business, strategy, marketing, and so much more. I have run the gamut from being a student right up to being a creative mentor today. Everything from blogging to freelancing, in-house agency, running an agency, being a digital nomad, running a podcast, creating products, coaching, running a summit, running a community. I have done a lot. So that's what I want to share today. That's the context for this presentation. So let's get into it. My whole mantra is to help you flock ordinary. I don't want you to blend in. I want you to stand the flock out. But that's not the message today. This is about brightening your future. And that is what we're going to do. So if you're ready, let's flaming go. Chapter 1, Liftoff, the messy beginnings. I'm going to be sharing 10 lessons from 20 years of my creative career. And at the start, some of these tips may be a little bit beginner, but bear with me as we progress through this journey. The first lesson I want to start with is that you are a business, even if you don't feel like one yet. If you're at the start of your career, things may be a little overwhelming and you can be comparing yourself against people that are up to chapter 10 versus your chapter 1. So I want to open up my archives and show that I also started from the bottom, and it's a journey, right? So the early days, let's just say I had a developing skill set. I had no systems, I had no business registration, and I had no flocking idea. This graphic you see here is from 2004. I was age 16 at the time, and this was my first unofficial business. It was called Jack Cass Productions. Terrible name. Don't know what I was thinking. It was a play on my name. I'm Jacob Cass and Jack Cass. You can see there's no conceptual design here. It just says creative web design and graphic design solutions. Quick and easy designs for you, with embossers, drop shadows, bouncy text, all at an angle. I don't know what I was thinking, and stamps everywhere and whatever. The point is that we all start somewhere. But the revelation I had was that if you treat things like a hobby, your business like a hobby is going to pay like one. So you have to reframe your mind as to think like a business. And I'm sharing some graphics here from 2002 when I was age 14. This was my very first logo, and I found this in one of my high school graphic design books. I didn't even know about design as a career back then. And also my first real website, which I did from my high school. Everything was hard-coded in Dreamweaver, and it was a bit of a mess, but it was one of our major projects for the year. And these are all just done for free, right? This was a hobby at the time. So I really had to break out of that mindset to think about this as a business. So some of my practical tips, or Pinky's practical tips for you to take away if you're early in your career, is that you need to register your business. You need to think like you are a business owner, not just a hobbyist. Set up a separate business account. This is something I did not do. I did not track my time. I did not track my money, and I regretted that. In hindsight, it helps to know your numbers, and that is going to help you grow and scale much faster. So you can understand how long you spend on things, if you're growing, if you're getting leads, and so much more. So get your foundations in place. It is so important, especially at the start of your journey. Lesson number 2, learn to sell, even if it's as awkward as a flamingo in space. Back in the early days, pricing conversations made me sweat. I avoided them at all costs. I ran my whole business through email. I did not have any phone number. I had no calendar booking links on my website at all. I did everything through email. I had no soft skills. I lost a ton of money. I left a ton of money on the table because of this, in hindsight. And I've lost so many relationships because I just didn't nurture them, and I just didn't think about sales as a service. And that was kind of the revelation I wanted to share with you, that sales is not sleazy. It is a service. You are here to help problem solve and get your client from A to B. And even though, I'm just going to share a little story here, my dreamy little face, I was quoted as the best graphic designer in New York City by the New York Post at the time. This was 2011. I was a far cry from that. But it just goes to show that even if you are quoted as something like that, you don't necessarily have the soft skills. You can have the hard skills of doing design and all of that. But if you don't have the fundamental skills to get on the phone call, get in line with your client's problems and challenges, it's only then are you going to really, truly grow and scale. And that's why my revelation here was that sales isn't sleazy, it's service. And I want to share a pricing technique that really fundamentally changed my business. There's many different ways to price, but this 3-tier pricing fundamentally changed my business when I first learned about it. Rather than sending one-off proposals with a set fee or lined itemed items, you can package up your offers in 3 different packages. Basically a gold, silver, or bronze option, or a expensive, mid-tier, or affordable option. How this works psychologically is that we anchor the price against the most expensive item on the page. So for example, $30,000 seems very expensive here. $5,000 seems a little bit more cheap, but it may be a bit risky because you're not getting everything that's in like the $15,000 package. So our brains want to make a safe bet, and we often go to the middle option. And it seems the most valuable, right? It's not too expensive, it's not too cheap. But fundamentally, this is the package we wanted people to pick anyway. Price anchoring helps increase perceived value, and we can control the narrative. So you can use this pricing method in your proposals, and it just works. There are many other different ways to price. There are proposals, there are retainers, but this is one that really, really worked. And if you can talk to your client and get over the awkwardness of sales and think about sales as a service, then you can package up your offers in a way that truly makes sense with this kind of packaging methodology. So that's lesson number 2. Sales is not sleazy, it's a service. Lesson number 3, price equals positioning. You don't want to race to the bottom. So let me explain. In the early days, I was charging $50 for a logo, $500 for a website, and I spent years undercharging. In 2004, this was my very first paid logo. It was $50 for a death metal band at my high school, and it was horrible. But the point being here was that your rate reflects your role. So if you're charging little, your perceived value is little. When you increase your rates, your perceived value increases. So we want to package up our offers in a way that increases the perceived value of them. We don't want to line item every single thing. So that leads me into our next practical tip. And this changed my business. When I replaced pricing with packaging, bundling offers focused on outcomes rather than deliverables. So the old way on the left, focused on pricing, I would line item things like logo, $500, website, $2,000, whatever it may be. Your clients could pick apart and really see the value of each thing, and they could say, I don't want this, I don't want that. However, if you packaged up your items in a way that sold the outcome, so for example, you're not selling logos, you're selling clarity, confidence, or consistency, or a system, or a launch package. This is fundamentally much more valuable than just, say, a logo by itself. You're selling an outcome. For example, a launch package. It could be a website, it could be a marketing campaign, it could be an identity system, all in the launch package, right? It's an outcome. You're transforming their business from having no identity, having no marketing material, no messaging, to an end outcome, not just a deliverable of logo or website. So remember this, you're not selling logos or lined items, you're selling an outcome. Lesson number 4, think like a strategist, lead like a creative. There was this mindset shift that happened for me back in 2014 when I was awarded this Young Alumni Award from Newcastle University. It was a big deal because they only award one person out of the whole university per year for this award. And it helped me see myself differently. At the time, I never really saw myself as a leader, but this award signified outstanding achievement for recent graduates underneath 35 years old. And it helped me realize that I am a leader and I can guide my clients and the community along the way. I don't need permission to be a leader. And that was my revelation. It was that you don't need permission to be a leader. You can lead, you can guide your client, and you can help them on their transformational journey. So I want to leave you with a practical tip here that helped me. And it was about using frameworks. You need to find one that works for you so you can guide your clients from A to B and not just be the executioner. You can be a leader. You don't need permission to do it. A framework that works really well when it comes to strategy, understanding why they exist, who they exist for, how they do things, how they look, feel, and sound, and what they actually do. This is one kind of brand strategy kind of framework that works well, but you need to find a framework that works well for your services. You need to experiment and guide your clients along the journey. Think like a strategist, lead like a creative. Lesson number 5, systems buy you freedom. And what do I mean by that? Well, back in 2015 to 2018, I was living the digital nomad lifestyle. I was traveling the world with my wife and we went to 88 different countries, all while I was running Just Creative, my agency. And we were fully booked. This was only possible because of systems. And what do I mean by systems? I had an inbound client attraction system, so people were finding me through search. I didn't have to go out looking for clients, so clients were coming to me. I had an onboarding system that worked. I had a brief, I had a proposal template, I had a contract template, I had a presentation template. So my whole system, my whole workflow was systemized, which meant I reduced my hours of having to work. It was very efficient, very effective, and that was because of systems. And the revelation was that chaos kills creativity. If you are doing ad hoc projects and doing things on the fly and you don't have a system in place, things aren't going to be very efficient. They're not going to be very effective and you're going to burn out. So systems create sustainability and they lessen your workload, which is going to improve your bottom dollar, your bottom line. So the practical tip here is that you want to create a system, ideally like an inbound client system. You want to have an onboarding system so you can automate your bookings, your contracts, your briefs, and your client preparation with templates. Get these things in place. These are your foundational items to your business. It's going to improve your bottom line and it's going to make the less enjoyable things more enjoyable because you know how to do them quickly and effectively, and then you can get onto the things that you love and enjoy, like design or whatever it may be. So that's it. Systems equals freedom. Lesson number 6, build brands, don't just deliver assets. What do I mean by that? Well, my evolution as a creative has gone from being a logo designer to a web designer to identity to strategy, consulting, and so much more. And a few years ago, I put together a course that was titled Become a Brand Master, and it helped solidify my process and my thinking, and it made me realize just how important strategy, positioning, and creativity are to building brands and not just delivering assets. Logos and websites don't build brands. They're expressions of the brands. Strategy, positioning, and creativity build the brand. So I wanted to share some practical tips. I've got 2 tips here for you. Branding really needs a strategic core concept. I'm going to use this summit as an example. So for example, we have a space theme, a star theme, but the through line between all of this is to help transform you into a star brand builder. The tagline, Become a Star Brand Builder, is our kind of mantra, and that's going to help you brighten your future. And you can see the language and the messaging here is all about the user, it's about the future, and it just works well together. And just to take this further, you want to position a brand to win. So there's a framework that I share on the left here for target audience whose problem or desire X product is the category that promises this because of this reason. So to bring this to life, right? Our positioning statement, if you will, for the summit would be for creative professionals or entrepreneurs who want to grow beyond one-off client work and build a strategic, sustainable business. The Brand Builder Summit is a free virtual event that helps you become a star brand builder. Confident, in demand, and in control of your creative future because it combines world-class expert training, community connection, and a cosmic, gamified experience designed to brighten your path and launch you toward brand building stardom. It is a mouthful, but if you're here watching this today, this should be resonating with you. You are most likely in this kind of realm, right? You're a creative entrepreneur or a branding professional who aspires to become a star brand builder, and this is how we're going to achieve it, right? Through world-class expert training and so forth. So you want to use a framework like this to position your brand or your client's brand to win. All right, chapter number 3, we're heading into orbit, which is all about sustainability and scale. Lesson number 7 is about visibility. Visibility creates opportunity. So you want to stand the flock out. This has been a big part of my journey. My personal brand, my blog, my podcast, it has opened doors that I did not even know existed. Case in point, I got offered a job in 2011 via Twitter for an agency on the other side of the world in New York City while I was a student. I accepted this job and flew to the other side of the world 6 months later and started working for brands like Disney, Nike, Red Bull, and it just catapulted my career. I had no idea this was going to happen, but that was because I was putting myself out there. I was sharing what I was learning at university on my own blog. I was getting into social media. This is when Facebook and Twitter was just really starting off. And this got the attention of this up-and-coming agency who hired me. You can see on the screen here, they're all quite young. This is when digital media was just growing. And this led to other opportunities, like working with Jerry Seinfeld, branding his show, Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. And this was all because I just put myself out there. So the practical tip here is that you don't need a big audience. You just need a bold point of view. You need to share where you are in your journey so you get seen. Without being seen, you're not going to get opportunities. It's as simple as that. So the practical tip here is that you need to choose one content format, whether it be writing, video, audio, and show up consistently with a clear point of view. The key word there is consistently. Lesson number 8, setbacks are part of growth. I've been sharing a lot of wins and highlights in this presentation, from winning awards to being on front pages of newspapers to getting hired by fancy agencies across the other side of the world. But truthfully, there have been some major setbacks in my career, and I just want to share 2 stories with you. The first story is that, you know, that fancy job I just mentioned? Well, I was fired after 6 months, and it was probably the best thing that happened to me. I realized that jobs aren't security, especially in the States when you don't have a job. You have to have a visa to be there. That's a whole other story. But it made me find a better path. I actually ended up seeing a lawyer here in Australia to come back to the States, and I ended up staying there for another 4 or 5 years. And that's when I got to work with folks like Jerry Seinfeld and those other big brands, and it just really worked out for me. I ended up doing a TEDx talk on the experience and showed how I use personal branding and my networks to overcome those challenges. So the point here is that setbacks can often lead to better paths. So you have to reframe setbacks as growth. The second story I want to share with you is about what goes up must come down. What I haven't told you so far is that I've been running a blog since 2007 on Just Creative. And at one point back in 2022, we were getting 1 million page views a month. That was at its peak. And we had a team of about 12 scattered across the world helping us scale the website and the blog. And we had a lot of recurring revenue. We were on the way to earning 7 figures in a year, which was crazy. And then it crashed. Google crashed. All our leads dried up, all our traffic dried up, and we lost about 95% of our business over the course of about a year. It was a slow, painful death, and it actually led me to creating the summit last year. And that led me to creating the Brand Builders Alliance, which is a membership community for brand builders. And this is all because of this setback. So the case in point here is that jobs disappear, algorithms change, but brands last. I use my brand, my newsletter, my social channels to overcome these setbacks. So the practical tip here is that you need to build assets that you control. Your brand, your list, and your systems. This is going to be fundamental if anything changes, whether it be losing your job, changing algorithms, or whatever it may be. Lesson number 9, proximity is power. You need to find your people. Every single major leap I've made in my career has come after learning from someone who's been there and done it. By tapping into their knowledge, folks like Chris Do, Marty Neumeier, Mark Ritson, you make leaps and bounds in your career. So you need to get into the room of these people, because who you grow with changes everything. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. So the practical tip here is that you need to stop going it alone. You need to join a community, a group, a mastermind, a course that's going to help you thrive. And this is going to help you excel your career. It's going to help streamline your growth. This is a perfect segue into the Brand Builders Alliance. This is exactly why I started the Brand Builders Alliance, to help you get into the right room. It is the ultimate community for brand builders. We have mentorship, we have coaching, we have resources to help you master branding and build a thriving creative business. We have 8 resident coaches in there with regular masterclasses, coaching, and support to guide you along your journey, so you don't have to do this alone. We have an exclusive summit offer where you can save $200 off the yearly membership. Use the code 200OFF until September 24. And the first 10 to join are going to get a private group coaching session with me. There are 2 QR codes on the screen which you can use. The left one goes to our homepage where you can learn more. One on the right goes straight to our checkout page where you can use that coupon code and join right now. That's it from here. We're going to jump into the last and final lesson. We are now entering branding stardom, where you pay it forward. The last lesson for this keynote is about listening. Listening is your growth engine. And what do I mean by that? I mean, listening to yourself, your clients, your audience, your community to understand the next step. Throughout my career, I have had dozens of different offers, everything from logos to logo packages to identity packages to strategic workshops to digital products to masterminds to coaching offerings to blogging packages to running a summit to running a community. And all of these have happened because I've listened to the marketplace. I've listened to my clients. I've listened to potential customers when it comes to creating the next offer. And let me use an example from the Brand Builders Summit last year. This was our first summit last year, 2024, and it was a major success. We had a goal of 5,000 attendees. There was 23,000 people who registered. From that, the Brand Builders Alliance was launched. But it wasn't launched straight away. It actually took about 6 months to launch. And the reason it took 6 months was because I interviewed the attendees to understand what they were really after. Coaching, mentorship, resources, and community. Those are the 3 kind of pillars that we settled on after all these conversations. I understood that they didn't just want more information. They didn't just want more knowledge. They wanted to apply it. They wanted accountability. They wanted coaching. And they wanted a platform that brought all of this together in a cohesive way. And what makes the Brand Builders Alliance unique is that it's focused on not just one thing like building a business. It's actually focused on 2 pillars, which is mastering branding and building a thriving creative business. And I only really realized this because I listened to the community and spent time talking to them and building with them. And that is my point here today. The revelation is that listening reveals the next steps. So the practical tip here is that you need to ask better questions. That's going to help you build better solutions. So for example, what does the next level look like for you? Use these answers to shape your next move. Listening is the growth engine. Well, there we have it. 10 lessons from 20 years in the creative cosmos. My question to you is, which one of these 10 has hit the hardest? Was it you being in business and actually having the mindset to treat it like one, not being a hobby? Was it about learning to sell and overcoming that awkwardness and getting on the phone and having those sales conversations? Perhaps it was about pricing, reflecting your positioning, how what you charge, signaling your value. Or perhaps it was about strategy and how you can lead with thinking and how strategy actually elevates your role as a creative. Or perhaps it was around systems buying freedom and how chaos can kill your creativity. Or perhaps it was around building brands and not just assets and how positioning actually powers everything and creative thinking. Visibility creates opportunity. You want to stand the flock out. You want to be seen. You want to be visible. You want to create opportunities by putting yourself out there. You want to rethink setbacks. Setbacks are part of growth. Did this hit hard for you? Or perhaps it was around proximity, being in the right room, learning from the right people so you can grow fast. Or perhaps it was around listening. Listening drives evolution. It helps you understand the next steps. Which one of these hit the hardest for you? With that said, I want to say mission accomplished. You've got the map. Now take the next step. My name is Jacob Cass, or Captain Cass, and I'm so honored for you to be here, listening to my presentation, being at the Brand Builders Summit, and leveling up. If you have questions around the summit, the Brand Builders Alliance, or just want to get in contact with me, go to justcreative.com. You can find all my social profiles there. Other than that, over and out. Enjoy the summit.